Welcome to Kripabhavan Daily Reflections.
Let the dead bury their own dead. In Matthew 8 verses 21 to 22, Jesus delivers one of the most jarring responses recorded in the Gospels. When a would-be disciple says, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father," Jesus replies, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead." To modern ears, this may sound harsh. But to a first-century Jewish audience, it would have sounded shocking, even offensive. Why would Jesus discourage someone from burying their father, an act considered one of the highest duties in Jewish law? To understand this saying, we must place it in its Jewish cultural and religious context, and consider what Jesus was revealing about the cost of discipleship and the urgency of the kingdom of God.
Burying the dead, a sacred Jewish duty. In ancient Judaism, burying the dead, especially one's parents, was a sacred obligation. It fell under the command to honor your father and your mother, Exodus 20 verse 12. Jewish tradition held burial in such high regard that a son was expected to leave almost any other religious duty to care for a parent's burial. Burial was to be performed immediately, even before nightfall when possible. It was considered a mitzvah, a righteous deed of the highest order. In this light, the disciples' request seems entirely reasonable, even devout. It aligns with the law, tradition, and social expectation. Was the father already dead? Scholars and interpreters have long debated the literalness of the disciples' statement. Was his father actually dead? Or was this a common Middle Eastern idiom meaning, "Let me stay home until my father dies, then I'll follow you"? The second interpretation is likely. The phrase probably implies an indefinite postponement, perhaps years into the future. It reflects a mindset of later obedience, a willingness to follow, but only once family obligations and social expectations are out of the way. In this case, the issue isn't the burial itself, but the delay, and the priority being placed on earthly matters over spiritual calling.
Jesus' response, a spiritual wordplay. Jesus' reply, "Let the dead bury their own dead," is not just a rejection. It's a poetic and paradoxical wordplay. The first, dead, refers to the spiritually dead, those not awakened to the kingdom of God. The second, dead, refers to the physically dead, the bodies awaiting burial. Jesus is saying, let those who are spiritually unresponsive deal with worldly concerns. You, who hear my call, must respond without delay. This statement cuts to the heart of discipleship. The kingdom of God demands immediate and total allegiance. Nothing, not even sacred tradition, can come before it. The call to radical discipleship. For a Jewish audience, Jesus' words would have challenged the very foundation of their religious identity. He was not undermining the Torah, but rather reordering priorities in light of a new, urgent reality, the inbreaking of God's kingdom through himself. Jesus' message is clear. Following him means dying to old loyalties, even good and honorable ones. The cost of discipleship is high, and the commitment must be unconditional. There is no room for, not yet, in the life of a disciple.
Conclusion: a timeless challenge. Let the dead bury their own dead is not a dismissal of compassion or duty. It is a profound call to spiritual awakening and decisive action. In a world full of valid responsibilities and important traditions, Jesus reminds us that nothing surpasses the call to follow him. To follow Christ is to recognize that his kingdom is not an addition to life, it is life itself. The urgency of the gospel demands our first and fullest, yes, even when it means stepping away from everything familiar. Will we follow now, or will we wait for the right time that may never come?